Welcome to Hot Topics on the Edge of NFT. I'm Richard Carthon. I'm here with my co-hosts Josh Krieger and January Jones. Join us as we delve into the latest news shaping the landscape of Web3, blockchain, and digital assets.
Coming up today, Bitlayer's newest investment, the HBO Satoshi documentary, and Cryptocom Lawsuit against the SEC.
It's another production of the Edge of Company, a rapidly growing media ecosystem, empowering pioneers of Web3 tech and culture.
Let's dive right in.
Let's talk about exciting news for one of Edge of Company's key partners, Bitlayer, a project which we have also invested in that has closed a significant funding round. As noted by the block, Bitlayer, the first Bitcoin Layer 2 based on Bitcoin finality, has recently closed a $9 million extension to its previously announced Series A funding round. The extended A round is led by Polychain Capital and co-led by Franklin Templeton, with participation from SPC Limited, Selene Capital, G20 Group, and other renowned institutional investors.
A little bit of background here. Bitlayer previously raised a $5 million seed round in March, followed by an $11 million Series A round in July from leading investors including Framework Ventures, ABCDE, Franklin Templeton, Starware, OKX, and others. This investment interest from the financial institution seems to also reflect greater focus on blockchain development. Bitlayer has deployed over 280 apps since April, and they've also offered $50 million in developer incentives.
This is a major shift to put Bitcoin competing with Ethereum, Polkadot, Solana, Tron, and others. But it seems to be a polarizing topic to some Bitcoiners who don't want change from Bitcoin's fundamental purpose as a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. Is Layer 2 supercharging Bitcoin's potential, or is it diluting its decentralized DNA? What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm very bullish on Bitlayer for several reasons. And one of the aspects that I think has a ton of opportunity in the Bitcoin ecosystem is tapping into unused Bitcoin. Most Bitcoin sits dormant in cold wallet storage, and being able to tap into using some of its liquidity for purposes of DeFi applications and other things. It's like all the amazing reasons why Ethereum and other cryptocurrencies were made in response to Bitcoin now being able to be made and put on the largest cryptocurrency out there, and the most liquid and the most stable, all the things, and providing a way for people to participate. So I see it as a net positive. A lot of Bitcoin maxis probably aren't as overjoyed about this, but I've also run into a lot of maxis that are very bullish on what Bitcoin layer 2s are bringing to the table, DeFi, ordinals, runes, etc., and just being able to keep it all within the Bitcoin ecosystem. But Josh, how do you look at this?
Yeah, so security and risk comes up a lot whenever you're talking about doing anything to the mothership. We'll talk about another sort of story about that recently on HBO and some of the different polarizing conversations over the last several decades. So this is not a new narrative. However, at the same time, from day one, people have been building on Bitcoin, and this is a conversation that's been around for a long time. People have been focused on how to get more value from the Bitcoin ecosystem. That was the impetus for Ethereum. Bitlayer is taking a really interesting technical approach with their OpVM, which combines fraud proofs, which is BitVM, and validity proofs based on OpCat. So this is actually enhancing the security of the various protocols within Bitcoin ecosystem. You don't get big institutions like this to back you without making security as one of your top priorities.
Do you think that Bitcoin has the community behind it within the development community to support this layer 2? Because on the other blockchains, there's so much talk about building community and people being open source and sharing. Is that going to be a blocker for getting devs involved in building on Bitcoin?
I think you're bringing up an interesting point. And what I would say is there's been a groundswell of focus on building more community within the Bitcoin ecosystem. We saw that with the number of side events at BTC Nashville. We also went over to Bitcoin Asia, and there was a tremendous amount of collaboration and energy across the overall ecosystem I think that this is going to be something that all these different Bitcoin L2s and dApps have to think about, is how to cultivate more community. But it starts with inherently a problem that you're solving. And there's a big problem that we're talking about solving here, which is tapping into all the liquidity of folks that want to hold their Bitcoin and they don't want to give it up, right? That is an opportunity that is a much bigger market opportunity than anything else going on right now in the space. And so we've seen in this cycle that alternative approaches to cryptography are not resonating in such a profound way as they used to. I think this is a temporary thing. It has a lot to do with the market shift and whatnot, but institutions are looking for stability, and and there's nothing that has a longer track record of not being hacked and being a store of value than Bitcoin. So I think with that sort of fundamental, the innovators, the entrepreneurs are going to join the party, and so far early indications are that they are doing so.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I was fortunate enough to go to Dev Day and really hear how devs are coming together and building and creating the security necessary to make all of this happen. And I learned a lot about the OpCat and what they're doing with that. And it's really amazing to be able to, I am not a dev by trade, but I know enough to be dangerous, and to have it be broken down and have other devs in there asking questions, understanding it very quickly, and seeing how they can use it in application was very positive to me. So I think it's coming. I think people are excited about it, and they want to be able to keep making Bitcoin even better.
It's definitely historic. We talk about milestones in the crypto space, and there's milestones every week, right? It's such a new place to be, and that's what keeps it exciting, and that's what keeps these discussions going. So let's move on to another discussion, and maybe it's a nothing burger. The HBO documentary Money Electric, The Bitcoin Mystery, directed by Colin Hobart, claims to identify Bitcoin's creator, Satoshi Nakamoto, as Peter Todd, a 39-year-old Canadian software developer and early Bitcoin Core developer. Todd is denying the allegations and is concerned that the documentary could put his life in danger. The crypto community has largely met the claims with some skepticism. Many people say the search for Satoshi is ultimately unnecessary and may be harmful to the decentralized nature of Bitcoin. Why do we need to know who Satoshi is?
I think there's a lot of ways to look at this. Ultimately, people want an answer. And for Satoshi to be anonymous or a group of people or whatever it is, there's always this, all right, how can we go figure this out? And this documentary tries to go and do that. But ultimately, when you look at a lot of people in this space, they don't really care. They care about the end result, which is you have this amazing development that is Bitcoin. And there's always going to be both sides of that, where people don't care and then people who really do and they really want to know. But even for the people who have been named, even though you had Peter Todd named ultimately as the person, there was other people that were named as well, and all of them have denied. But then you also have the other groups of people who are claiming they are Satoshi that weren't called out in this documentary. People always want a figurehead. People always want to be able to take the, I don't want to say take the power, but take the claim and get the praise. But the whole point of Bitcoin was to be decentralized, to not have praise, like to have a way that freedom is available and not like a figurehead. So it's like almost counterintuitive to even go down this road to find the person. So I think that's why this is just stirring up so much conversation.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm definitely sympathize with this gentleman, the death threats that he's getting and his concern about his life and safety. That's difficult part of this. And there are other people that wouldn't speak about this because of that reason. I think that we're talking about a tremendous amount of potential Bitcoin that this individual may or may not hold. There's a question whether or not they do hold it because it hasn't been officially burned. However, I think that's going to stir up a lot of sensitivities in a community that focuses upon privacy and the need to know what you need to know in that moment. There's been a lot more people that have come out and doxed themselves over the last few years because of, I think, just the concern from the mainstream about who are the folks that are building this technology. However, this issue brings up real safety concerns for folks that are behind the scenes, and it's a tough balance in our industry. But we do stand by liberty and privacy and sort of the ability of individuals to choose when and how to reveal their identity. In this case, I enjoyed the documentary. I thought it brought up some really interesting history that I didn't know about Satoshi, and I think it brought more attention on what makes Bitcoin so special. So it wasn't a completely sour apple here, but unfortunate sort of implications in terms of the individual that was named.
So the mystery persists for now. We'll see what shakes out over the next couple of years, because there still could be things that come forward. Documentaries stir the pot, right? You get whistleblowers, people coming up with information. So absolutely. Moving on, let's talk about Crypto.com. They're suing the SEC. They filed a lawsuit challenging what it sees as regulatory overreach. The lawsuit follows a Wells notice from the SEC. Crypto.com says the SEC has expanded its jurisdiction beyond legal limits by classifying most crypto transactions as securities dealings. Now, they joined just a few companies who have tried to sue the SEC, because the SEC, on the other hand, has brought over 116 crypto lawsuits in federal courts and successfully settled or won nearly all of them. But with recent settlement cases seeing insignificant fines per the scale of transactions and a little bit of jail time, do you think crypto companies are losing their fear of being proactive in the legal space?
Yeah, I think one of the bigger challenges here is just that the SEC has been not consistent. There's been some inconsistencies about how they're approaching and going after these companies. And the fact that Crypto.com decided to preemptively like sue before they even really got like a firm, this is what we're bringing against you. As well as Wells just saying like, hey, like we're coming after you. And Crypto's like, cool, here's a reverse Uno card. We're coming after you first. And I think with what's happened with Ripple, what's happened with some of these other cases where the SEC is losing, a lot of these companies are now trying to be more proactive with finding ways to consistently win with what has already been ruled. And when you have 116 cases out there, of course, you're not going to win them all, but there is a flipping, I think, starting to happen in the space where people are fearing the SEC less and less now that more and more rulings have gone in favor with crypto companies. So I think this isn't the last that we're going to see with other companies being more proactive and going after the SEC.
Yeah, Richard and I agree on this one. I would just add that the political climate seems to be shifting as well. People are anticipating what's going to happen in November. And I think that's creating some optimism here that we're moving towards a new place. Crypto.com is a major exchange with a lot of users, and it's getting competitive out there with all the different exchanges, from Binance sort of resurging to OKX to new exchanges. And I think this is good publicity for them. They could actually get some user growth from this proactive approach, and maybe some evangelists that will support their exchange more because they are being proactive. I think it's an interesting maneuver, and not necessarily poorly timed.
They've got the name brand, right? Crypto.com. And so anybody just getting used to this space, they're going to show up, right? And so I think that kind of brand appeal might have more penetration into the market here with people who are new to crypto.
Absolutely. And they've put a lot of dollars into getting their brand out there, including the Crypto.com arena, where we've hosted events before. And fundamentally, I think they may also feel an impetus to represent the industry in this way and try to shift the narrative. And just a quick update for our listeners that you can now catch us on iHeartRadio. And thank you, iHeartRadio, for choosing to feature us as a top science and technology podcast.
Yeah, we're super pumped about that partnership and looking forward to doing even more with them. But otherwise, that's going to be a wrap. We've covered Bitlayer Investment, HBO Satoshi Doc, and Crypto.com lawsuit against the SEC. Feel free to share your thoughts on these developments in the comments or on social media. Your voice shapes this space.
Thanks for tuning in for Edge of NFT Hot Topics today. I'm Josh here with Richard and January signing off. Stay secure, stay curious, and catch you on the flip side.